Yesterday was September 11th. 20 years ago, that date was significant because of the events that occurred, the trauma of the attack, the loss of lives. It changed our country forever. Do you remember where you were? Do you remember the impact that that day had on you? And do you remember how it changed your world, your life, personally? Did you lose individuals close to you, friends, family? What impact did it have on you? And in a more personal way, what impact does trauma and loss have on you? Because we all go through it. We all go through trauma. We all go through loss. It's part of life. Suffering is part of everyone's life. But what do you do with it? And how does it impact you? So for many of us, we compartmentalize it. We put it in a box, we put it up on a shelf, maybe seal it, and hope that those emotions and those conflicts that live inside of us never, ever appear. But we can only do that for so long. And sometimes triggers set those things in motion. Sometimes stress and turmoil, or maybe chaos, or even things like a pandemic can set those things off. Maybe there's an event and an experience that reminds you of some of the things that you've lost. But those boxes that are stored up in your head are difficult to maintain. They're difficult to keep contained. And for me, as a psychologist, part of my job is to help people unpack their boxes. Their boxes of grief and sadness, fear and anxiety, hurt and anger, resentment and shame. As part of my work is helping people deal with pain, emotional pain. And it's a privilege to be able to hear the stories, the circumstances, the experiences that people have gone through, and the courage for them to confront the pain, for them to deal with the pain that they've tried to keep contained, sometimes for many years. The pain does not just go away. It might lessen over time, but it doesn't go away. And I believe that the only way to deal with it is to go through it, is to confront it, is to talk about it. And yes, it's painful. Sometimes I have people write about their pain, but the emotions need to be experienced. It's so important that people process, talk through, maybe write through, and journal some of the pain. Because in this life, pain is inevitable. But I find that often in my work, suffering and healing occur simultaneously. You have to acknowledge the pain in order to work through the pain. Not an easy process. And it does take courage. It really, truly does. So what pain are you dealing with? Is it related to a trauma, a loss, some event or experience in your life? And how are you working through it? Are you able to talk about it? Are you able to write about it and experience the emotions? There's a process that often people go through. They identify the emotions. They experience the emotions, maybe physically, emotionally, mentally, maybe through crying. And then they express. They express those feelings to people that they trust, to people that they're close to. And lastly, they close. They close the emotion. And closing it doesn't mean it goes away. It means there's a level of acceptance. There's a level of peace. And sometimes when we lose something or someone that means so much to us, there may always be a void in your heart. And that may never go away. But you can fill your heart with love. Love of relationships, of friendships, of family. Maybe your significant other, your spouse. Maybe it's your relationship with God and the love that He gives you and that you experience in your heart through that relationship. Whatever it is, recognize that we, as humans, can get through it by experiencing it, expressing it, and eventually closing it. Through acceptance, maybe through forgiveness. Maybe that's what we need to do in order to heal. Maybe we need to forgive another person. Maybe we need to forgive ourselves. But forgiveness is another avenue. It's another way to get to the point of acceptance, to get to the point of peace. And sometimes understanding helps. Maybe we need to understand the situation better because maybe we don't truly get it or understand it. And maybe we never will. And in some cases, that's the way it is. Let's face it, life is difficult. It is. It's difficult. And with all that's going on in this world today, with September 11th, with the pandemic, with all the social and political unrest, life can be stressful, filled with conflict and very difficult. But where do you find hope? Where do you find peace? Maybe it's in your relationships. Maybe it's in your relationship with God. But I'm encouraging you that in your journey to find peace, in your efforts to process your emotional pain that we all experience, to walk through the suffering, that you remember that talking through it, that writing about it, that sharing it, and ultimately forgiving will bring you to acceptance. We're all on the same journey. We all want the same thing. And love is what gives us hope for life. Remember that. Until next time, Dr. Tony signing out.